Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We're here every Saturday at 1 o'clock. And the purpose of our show is to talk about items that are of value that you might want to put into an auction. We even talk about items that are not valuable. So pay attention to our show this week. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donley. We're the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago. Hi, Randy. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Susan. And, of course, let's introduce, we've got our guest, our first guest of the day is my brother, Mike Donley, with us. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, how's it going?
You know, Mike, we're always talking about the next auction, of course, and we've got our big fall classic coming up. And, you know, there's just so much variety in the fall classic. You know, slot machines, jukeboxes, pinball machines, steam engines, you name it, it's in this auction. And one of the things that people really don't know us for, but we do very well with, is cars. I mean, we've got some nice cars in this auction, and I'd like to talk today about cars in general, some of the things we're looking for, because we are planning another big auction right after the first of the year, and that's our car classic that we're putting together right now. So Mike, what have we got going on for the car auction? We've been looking at a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah, I mean, just within the last couple of weeks, the amount of people that have been contacting us with cars is just amazing. Obviously, people think of antique cars, they think of Model Ts and Model As and such like that. But those are actually falling out of favor. I mean, over the last few years, the people who really collected those and enjoyed those are passing on. So they're not as hot as they used to be. You know that, too.
I certainly do. But here's something interesting that Susan said to me today, and I was shocked that, of course, she's right because she does her research.
Wait, can we record that part for sure?
Yeah. She does her research, and I always thought you and I have, Mike, a 1919 Ford that we started driving when we were just kids. That's what we learned how to drive on. But I always thought the Model T came before the Model A, and Susan says, well, that makes no sense. The Model A would have come first, and I'll be darned, she's right.
They produced them in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I was shocked to find out.
And they stopped at the letter T because it was selling so well.
That's right? Just
and then they
crazy.
went back to the Model A.
Right.
So
the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, the Model A actually did come out in 1903. That was his first model. Was a Model A, and then he went sequentially through the numbers all the way to T. There were a few that he did not make, but there was a Model S and so on and so forth. And but then the Model A that everybody knows and recognizes from 1928 is when they really took full production, is when Edsel Ford talked to Henry, his father, Henry Ford, into retooling and coming up with a whole new design because the Model T had just kind of...
It's very successful.
Yeah, but it really had worn itself out.
Right.
So I wasn't aware of that.
Good information.
But, Mike, you just lined up a lead for us. We're going out to look at some Model Ts this week, right?
That's correct. Yeah, he's got two Model T Fords, a Willys Knight, and a 1920-something Chevy dump truck, which should be interesting to see.
Oh, trucks!
Oh, we love
early
dump
trucks do so well, and especially tow trucks. People love early vintage tow trucks.
Well, you said it's a dump truck or a tow truck?
It's a dump truck, but they weren't big dump trucks like we think of them now. They're more like a pickup truck size it's a mechanical hand crank dump body that was put on them.
Nice.
Yeah.
They were aftermarket things. So
they're really neat and very Very, very collectible early trucks.
Then you guys were out in Wakanda looking at a few cars. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, that was actually quite a find. I'll let Mike talk a little about that since it really falls into Mike's bailiwick. But ladies and gentlemen, first, before we even get into this, I do want to point out that we are looking for vehicles. I mean, we're looking for cars, trucks, motorcycles, and everything for this auction that we're putting together right after the first of the year is when we're planning this. So call us or email us.
Right. You can email us at consign, CONSIGN, at Donley Auctions with an S.com. Just send us some photos and we'll give you a call.
That's correct. So we need your vehicles and parts. We will sell large parts collections also. So at any rate, last night we went and looked at a couple vehicles that the gentleman actually called us because of the Sean Thompson show.
Thank you, Sean Thompson.
Don't we love Sean? And Sean Thompson, certainly we sponsor his show and we advertise on his show, which is a daily show right here on 560. Mm-hmm. You don't want to miss the Sean Thompson show. It is a classic. But Sean mentioned us, and so this gentleman says, well, I could sell my cars anywhere, but I'm going to listen to Sean and call the Donleys, which he did. And Mike, what did we find last night?
Oh, lo and behold, there were two Shelby Mustangs in there,
Woo-hoo!
two Shelby Mustangs, yeah, hardtops, GT500s. One completely restored, which he had done over the course of quite a few years. I think all in all, I think he's got about 20 years into it. But beautiful, beautiful restoration. Wow. And then he's got a second one that's all in parts, ready for restoration. Right? Now, the amazing thing about him is he found them a year apart, and they're sequential serial numbers. They're one serial number apart, which is,
unbelievable.
Unbelievable to find something like that. I mean, just you've got one that's ready to go. I mean, is a beautiful, unbelievable, beautiful candy apple red with white interior, hardtop.
I can't wait to see it.
Automatic, 429 automatic.
Are you guys thinking of selling those together, or are you going to separate them out with the, VIN numbers being like that?
Well, that's a tough call. That's a decision yet to be made. But truly, the value, I believe, is to keep them together.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
But here's what you're buying is the best of both worlds, because when you buy a restoration project, it's like, I'd love to be driving this car, but it's going to take 2 to 5 years to do a complete restoration. So it's kind of anticlimactic to buy a restoration project because you can't drive it right away. Whereas here, you've got one car ready to be driving, and then the fun of the restoration project. And Mike, you pointed out something to me last night as we left there about the restoration project, about the father and son.
Yeah, so many times I hear things where, somebody will approach me. I'm looking for a project that I can work on with my son. They got a son that's maybe 10 or 12 years old that's interested in automobiles and such like that. And there's that one sweet spot you got your son to work with from about, 10 to 16, 17. And to be able to work on a father-son project restoring something like that.
And
it's something
teaching them the use of tools and everything.
Right.
I mean, so many people aren't getting that today. Everybody's on their handheld computers and everything. So you are so right. What a great project it would be for the
bonding process. When you kill to be able to do that again with your son.
Oh, yeah. You got it. Yeah, he's my son's in his 30s now, and I missed that opportunity. I never even thought about working on a car project with him. What a shame.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So, you might have grandkids someday.
You do with your grandson when it comes around. Yeah, when your grandson comes around.
Beat me to it, Mike.
That could be. So, Okay, so we're looking for cars, folks. We need cars. We need all kinds of vehicles. And, again, there's a market. There is still a market for the early, what we call horseless carriage cars, from the 00s, like 03, 04, 05. I mean, that early stuff still sells very well. And then into Model Ts, Model As, 40s, 50s, we'll sell it all.
Even in our November Classic auction coming up November 16th through the 19th, we've got a 38 LaSalle, a 2003 Mercedes, and a Jag. So we got all kinds of
I think
different
the Jaguar
eras
is 96
of vehicles. That's for sure. But Mike, if you could hang with us on this next segment, we'd like to continue talking about the annual Fall Classic, folks, coming up November 16th through the 19th. Mark your calendars now. It is a live auction, but we'll be happy to take any phone bids, right? It's going to be a great 4-day auction. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, and we're going to keep talking about the December firearms and military auction coming up as well.
Yes, we are, but keep in mind we have to promote the Fall Classic.
Yes, we'll talk about the great items we're looking for, and I bet some people out there have them in their house.
I bet you're right.
Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. And we're here today to talk about items that are of value that you should put in an auction. We're even going to talk about items that you should not put in an auction. Hi, Randy.
Hey, Susan. Honey, I have another guest. I know we were talking to Mike, and he'll be back on the show a little later. But I asked Louis DePasqua to come
Louis
on
back.
Today. we all know Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis, for coming on.
Yeah. My pleasure.
What I was really interested in is, we've got our big November auction coming up, our November Classic, and it's really loaded with musical instruments, but kind of in a different way. I mean, there's a coin-operated violin and piano. There's Nickelodeons. There's a coin-operated banjo and everything. But just yesterday, I saw somebody walking in and talking to you. You are our specialist when it comes to musical instruments. I saw them with a beautiful mandolin. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, we took in a beautiful mandolin, a signed mandolin from 1980 Washburn. And it's a Jethro Burns style, which he's the famous mandolinist from 1936 to 1989. It's just a beautiful piece. And what shocked me is I played a chord on it. He says he hasn't touched it in 5 years, and it was in tune. And it was.
Wow.
Was it really?
But just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, that just shows you. I mean, it stayed in tune. The neck is gorgeous. Just a fantastic F style. If you're a mandolin player, you know the beauty of an F style. And so, yeah.
Louis, like I say, when I saw this beautiful musical instrument coming in, I've been seeing, guitars, starting to pile up and so on. So I do know that you're planning right after the first of the year an auction where we're going to be specializing in early sound and music and instruments and so on and so forth. What other type of items should we be telling our listeners that we're looking for? I mean, guitars, obviously.
Yeah, any vintage musical instrument, guitars, violins, high-quality violins, Fenders, Gibson guitars, Fender amplifiers, Marshall, any of the vintage from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s type instruments and microphones and keyboards. Just if it's something on a stage, or under that's been sitting under a bed for.
There you go.
Well, Susan said we're also going to be telling people items that aren't so valuable, and we don't. I mean, there's so many people call us with upright pianos or even player pianos, and we say, no way, we don't want those. But the same is true. Right. I'm telling people all the time, hey, bring us your Gibson guitars, bring us your Martin guitars. And then somebody will walk in the door with 2-3 guitars, and we're disappointing them immediately, saying, well, no, sorry, what you have is, maybe $50. So it's so difficult to explain to people, what's good and what's not over the air. We can't show them. So tell us a few items, especially in guitars, that they should be looking for. What are a few of the brands that they can't go wrong with? Any
Gibson guitars, and they could even be newer ones that are quality made in the U.S. Fender guitars, everything from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even the new American-made models, are the higher quality. But when you see the name Fender, of course, they do have their low-end brand of instruments that are made out of the country that don't have a lot of value. And, if you have history and you know that it was a guitar, from 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even 80s, there's going to be quality guitars there from Gibson and Fender, acoustic guitars. And I think a simple way is to email in a photo.
Right.
Always, yeah, for sure. Now, Louis, I hear the term always bantered around in guitar world, Les Paul this, Les Paul that. Is Les Paul, is that a model of a particular guitar, the Les Paul?
Yeah, the Les Paul was the design from Les Paul back in the 50s. He he licensed the Les Paul name to Gibson. That is a very famous guitar.
So a Les Paul is always a Gibson Les Paul.
It is. It's always Gibson.
Okay.
That's right.
That's great. So if you do have anything like that, you can even talk to Louis. Give us a call at 815-923-7000 or email us at consign@donleyauctions.com.
Now, Louis, off the air just a few minutes ago, you were telling me about an item that you just potentially consigned for this auction coming up. What is that?
It's a 1970s Moog synthesizer. Bob Moog is one of the founders of synthesizers, and MOOG. They're one example of synthesizer companies, sequential circuits, and if it's an old vintage synthesizer from the 70s, we can sell it. So
big
I
bucks,
just acquired, big dough. The Moog is the famous Moog from that was used through the era of the 70s on all this amazing music that came out.
Wow.
But that's a great piece. It's a monophonic synthesizer.
Okay, so we might have that coming up next year, huh?
Right after the first sometime.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good job, Louis.
Looks like we've got a commitment to that. So
it's funny.
Another one.
It's funny what the bands used to use in some of their gigs. A Hammond B3 organ, is really a classic for the bands. But that really wasn't made as a band instrument. That was made for home use. But the bands found the sound really funky that they could do a lot with it.
Yeah, the famous blues Hammond B3, Hammond C3, connected to a Leslie speaker, which is a spinning. It spins the sound through horns, and it made the famous sound that today everybody is looking for, in rock and blues.
Yeah, that's amazing because we've run several B3 organs through our auction and done extremely well with them, as well as that that D18. Who made that? Was that a Martin D18?
Martin. Yep.
That we sold. So Martin guitars are certainly always. I mean that D18. I think that went well over $30,000.
I think around 32.
Yeah.
Yeah. So folks.
Take note. Great stuff that is still valuable today that you should put into one of our auctions.
Right.
Give us a call.
It's a good time to get this stuff in because we're going to have a wonderful vintage musical auction coming up.
And we do have a lot of music
time.
in the Fall Classic coming up November 16th through the 19th. You need to go online and see what all's there. We've got, just days and days and a variety.
If you want to look at the catalog, go to DonleyAuctions.com. There's a button at the top of the page that says Upcoming Auctions. You can view the catalog and you can register to bid at the same time. We also, don't forget, we have radios, phonographs,
yeah.
and some records, not a lot, and microphones, vintage microphones.
But I do want to warn everybody, too, that when you go and press on the button to look at one of these days, that's it. That's only one day. It's a 4-day auction. So you have to go back 4 times.
Each day has its own catalog.
Each
That's
day,
correct.
exactly. And because somebody said to me the other day, I thought this was going to be a big auction. You've only got about 500 items. I said, that's one day. And they didn't realize that
Right.
at the end, it doesn't scroll to the next day. So folks, you got
to look at one and go to the next. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, great items on all 4 of those days. We'll talk more about that in an upcoming segment. But again, mark your calendars. It is November 16th through the 19th, Thursday through Sunday. And we do take, of course, we want everybody to be there because we're going to have food. So you got to come out for the food, too. And then
it's an event.
We can take absentee bids and phone bids for this auction. But we definitely want you to come out to Union, Illinois.
And come on out and meet Louie.
Louie, thank you so much for that information.
Thank
That's
you,
great
Susan
news.
and Randy.
Congratulations on consigning the Moog.
Okay.
Is that how you pronounce it, Moog?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mike Donley coming up next, talking about more November Fall Classic items. But don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to AM 560. The Answer right here with the Donley Auctions Hour. Susan and Randy, don't leave us.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. You're here with Susan and Randy Donley of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're back on the line here with Mike Donley. We're going to talk a little bit more about some valuable items we have coming up in our annual Fall Classic in November. Hi, Mike. Thanks for coming back.
Yep.
Hey, Mike, we obviously were just talking about cars, and we are looking for cars and license plates. We did mention last week about that license plate that you just got in again. What year is that? It's a number 1, serial number 1 license plate from St. Louis. But what year was it?
That is a
1910, I think, isn't it?
It is a 1911.
Oh,
number 1 porcelain plate. The last year, the St. Louis made plates, and then it went to state plates.
Wow. Oh, okay. So this was a city plate, and then the state took over after.
Yeah, see, the cities, most of the license plates the cities started them because of the fact that these new horseless carriages were coming around, and the roads weren't so bad. They needed money to improve the roads, so that's how they paid for the improvements on the roads. It was licensing these automobiles.
I'll be darned. Wow.
That's a great item. When is that coming up for auction?
After the first year, we're building the auction now, so we're looking for license plates collections, early license plates, even runs. If you have numbers sequential, like say you have number 2122 from 1920 all the way up to 1970. I mean, those are called runs, and that is very sought after.
So that'll be part of the car auction we're holding early next year, folks.
Right. Cars,
keep an eye on our
parts,
website.
You name it. It's all going to be there.
And it's not too late to consign. So send us an email at consign@donleyauctions.com.
But, we do have cars coming up in the November Classic. But along with that, I was surprised at the variety. I did not realize that one of our days, what a huge coin collection that we have.
Isn't that crazy? 500 lots of coins.
Coins, and I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, we've got gold coins, we've got silver, we've got paper, money, early paper
Currency,
money, complete sets of gold, bullion. It's all there in this auction.
And that auction is on Saturday, so that's going to be all day Saturday on the 18th.
And then, Mike, tell us more about the Kennedy collection is coming up in November, right?
Finally, yay.
That's correct. It's going to be on Friday night. Yeah, that's the the collection of Monty Lutz, who was the forensic expert that testified before the Senate subcommittee on the investigation of the Kennedy assassination.
Wow.
And all his notes, all his paperwork, the rifle he used to prove the theory of that Oswald made the shot.
Single shooter,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, just archives and unbelievable amount of things. And his daughter will be here and is available for interviews, too, if any of the news organizations out there want to interview her beforehand.
Good
will be
point.
here that night, too, to answer any questions. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, any of you reporters out there certainly might want to, because this truly is, this is the 60th anniversary, isn't it?
That's right, November.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, in addition to the Kennedy items, some have been added. There's a Kennedy speech in there, and there's the Jack Ruby jacket. I heard you telling someone yesterday who came in, he was younger, probably in his 20s, and you asked him, you know who Jack Ruby is, right? And he kind of looked at you with a blank stare.
Yeah, he had no idea.
You know who Jack Ruby is?
Yeah,
what's going on in our school system, I swear.
It really is interesting how people don't know as much as we just automatically
we just assume they do, yeah.
Yeah. So,
you guys are the history buffs, that's for sure.
So, yes, because we're doing this show and people hear that we're putting some of these auctions together, they do call us with interesting items. And
they all have provenance, too, which is so important.
So what else coming up in November, Mike, do you think we should point out right now?
We got a tremendous autograph collection, too.
Oh, my gosh, I forgot about the autograph collection.
That's on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, just hundreds and hundreds of framed autographs, which is just great memorabilia. I mean, if you need something for your office or you need a present for your boss for Christmas, check this auction out.
Oh,
it
no
is
kidding.
Unbelievable stuff. Sports memorabilia, historical memorabilia, all framed and matted and just beautifully displayed.
Just ready to hang on the walls.
Musical
right.
artists. Yeah. I saw some from Madonna and Prince, and then you got Yogi Berra, and the list goes on and on.
It goes all the way back to Civil War people,
it sure does.
too. I mean,
early presidents is in there and such. Yes, unbelievable stuff.
Now, I believe there's even a Washington autograph there.
Is there really? I didn't see that.
A George
I think you're right.
Washington autograph. Mm-hmm. My gosh. It's all there at Donley Auctions.
And it's all framed and ready to put on the wall. So what a great idea for a gift. Good idea, Mike.
Wow. So, at any rate, look at our catalog. Go online. Susan will tell you how.
So go online at DonleyAuctions.com. There is a button at the top that says Upcoming Auctions, and you can view the catalogs. Remember, there's 4 catalogs, one for each day. And then you can register to bid if you want to bid online, or you can call us to put an absentee bid. Better yet, come on out to the auction. Again, the annual Fall Classic is November 16th through the 19th. Consignments are closed for that auction, but you know what? We are taking more stuff for our next one coming up in April, so it is never too early to consign with Donley Auctions. Leave us an email at consign@DonleyAuctions.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Shauna Donley about the Donley Group and what's happening in real estate.
Hey.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer. Thanks, Mike.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions with Randy Donley, and we are on the phone today with Shauna Donley, Randy's daughter, who is heading up our real estate division, the Donley Group. Hi, Shauna. Good morning. I know you are very busy closing properties. Tell us about it.
Yes, we have a closing happening right now for one of our auction clients, so that's fantastic.
Congratulations.
In just about an hour, so that's nice. Thank you very much. We had a great closing last week, too, for another auction client where we actually picked up some auction items for them. So it's been a fun couple of weeks, and that kind of brings me to my point that I'd like to bring up today is that everybody's kind of talking about, oh, gosh, is the market going to crash? It's a terrible time to buy. It's a terrible time to sell. And I'd just like to say that I disagree with all of that. If for anybody that's listening that's talking about buying or selling, there are reasons why it's a good time for both. We have a limited amount of inventory on the market, but we are still at about a 50-50. We're not at a tipping point either way, that it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. So as far as market neutrality, it's very neutral right now.
Okay.
So for the right person, it can absolutely be the right time to buy or sell.
Oh,
that's
great.
Very interesting.
Yeah, great to hear that.
And before we get into that, I do want to point out something that you just said, auction clients and everything. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, so many of you, have us coming out to look at items you want to sell at auction. And, my first question always is, well, okay, what's going on with the property? And, in most cases, many of you folks have not had a realtor. And so, of course, we've been able to sign so many of you to the Donley Group, and I want to really stress to those who don't know us as a real estate company, and that is, we are not trying to auction your real estate. Shauna is, in fact, a realtor. So explain kind of your credentials again and how this happened, Shauna. Just remind everybody that you're selling their property for them, not at auction, but as the Donley Group. So go ahead.
That's correct. Yep. So I run the Donley Group, and we are a group of real estate brokers that can represent and help buyers and sellers in all 50 states. And we work with App Properties and Christie's International Realty. So we can help you, truly, we can help you worldwide, but let's focus on the States for now, because that's where we are moving and shaking. But I run a team, and my team and I are always attending every showing, inspection, appraisal. We're there for you every step of the way. And we also just are happy to give advice. You aren't sure if it's right to sell. You want to know what a broker price opinion is on your home. We're happy to help you.
Well, and, I just got one of the nicest emails about you and how seamless it was after they had called us in to look at some antiques and then introduce them to you, and the property sold and everything. And we do need to post some of these glowing reports on our website,
yes,
Susan.
We do. Yeah. Great job, Shauna.
Yeah, please forward that to me. I'd love to read it. I mean, I get great reviews as well, but, it's always nice to see additional ones. But then to your point about how we're not auctioning real estate, of course, that's always an option. But
yes,
I believe in going the traditional route first to see what happens, because, it's so much similar to our auctions. When you list with a realtor, you're listing with a professional, and it's not as expensive as most people think. Professionals can always get you more money, but we do that in one of so many different ways, by pricing the property correctly, advertising it on a worldwide platform, just like you do with all of your auction items. When you have worldwide exposure, the possibilities are endless.
I'm looking forward to selling our first piece of real estate online at some point, so we'll get there.
Through auction, you mean? Yeah,
through auction, yeah. That's what I mean, through an auction.
Definitely exciting, too. Yeah.
So that's good advice, to start with you first and sell it the traditional way, and then we can always talk about auctioning it.
And to that point, we've still not kind of officially put the Wild West Town. We keep saying we are going to put the Wild West Town on the market. We're planning to auction off the contents first. I mean, just like what Shauna tells any person who wants to sell their home, get it empty, get it ready. And that's what we have not done yet with the Wild West Town. We are planning next year, maybe April or May, to have a huge auction of the contents from the Wild West Town so that we can get that property on the market.
We just held that big sale under the tent on October 28th, and that just told us, we need to get all that out of there so we have room to start selling off the items in the Wild West Town. And people were asking us, well, can we go in there? Can we see what you have? What's going to happen next?
Well, we're not ready for that yet. No. We've got to get everything tagged and organized, just like any auction.
Exactly.
So, again, we'll be talking about that more probably, April, May. This is when
that'll be exciting.
That. Yeah.
I think that it's going to be a newsworthy event.
So Shauna, again, let our listeners know, you're not doing commercial property, correct? Or are you?
I have the option to do that. Any real estate broker is able to sell commercial property as well.
Oh, good. Okay.
It depends on what you choose to specialize in. And I do happen to have someone on my team who is a whiz with commercial property, so we can certainly help you out there too.
Excellent. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shauna. Any last notes here for us? Otherwise, we'll see you back at the office.
Just like I had said, how it's a good time to buy or sell, we are seeing so many different cash deals as well, because people are a little bit wary of the high interest rates, but there are ways to combat that. So give us a call, and I can always link you up with one of my fantastic mortgage brokers.
Thank you, Shauna, very much. Phone number is 815-923-7000 to get in touch with Shauna. But join us after the break. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560. We are not done yet, folks.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560. The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. You're here with Susan and Randy Donley of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We've been talking today about valuable items that you should put in an auction and items that are not so valuable that probably would not be good for an auction. But real quick, I just want to recap our November annual Fall Classic, because these are items we've gotten from people on the phone that definitely fit into the types of items we're looking for that are valuable. For example, Thursday, November 16th, the first day of our annual Fall Classic, we had so many great items that we wanted to put on Friday, but we're going to put them on Thursday. High-end and quality antiques and vintage items like general store, soda fountain, Tobacciana, Petroliana, just all kinds of stuff. Go to the catalog and check out what I'm talking about. And then Friday night is a shorter evening. It's Friday night. It starts at 5:30, so it's in the evening. And that is what we're calling the best of the best. The pinball machines, the Mills Violano, the steam engines, the cars, the motorcycles. All of those items are coming up Friday night. You got to come out. That's actually an event that you do not want to miss. Saturday is the vintage clothing, hundreds and hundreds of lots of coins, and we've got some very high-end quality jewelry, rings and watches. So that's all day Saturday. Sunday is the Marty Murphy cartoonist from Playboy, all of his illustration art, all of the sculptures that we have, his storyboards, just some great stuff, a lot of Playboy items. We even have the Hugh Hefner suit and his shirts.
A couple of
the
his
real
suits,
deal,
yeah.
folks. I mean, those are the types of items we're looking for. It's just such an eclectic auction coming up. We would really love to invite everyone out. It does not cost anything to come to our auctions, by the way.
You know what's really fun about this, Susan, talking about this on the air, is so much of this has come from you folks.
Right.
You who are listening right now, who have called. We're selling all your great items, coming up now.
They're actually listening to us. Yes, valuable items sell well at auction.
All these pinball machines. Look at all these machines. All came from people on this show.
They did.
Wow.
So recap real quick, just so you can write this down. Call us at 815-923-7000. You can email us at consign@donleyauctions.com. We are taking consignments for our December firearm and military auction. But we're going to talk more about that next week, because we're going to have David on the phone to talk about that huge ordnance collection. So listen to us next week. You can also, like I said, come out to the auction. We're in Union, Illinois, 60 miles west of Chicago. You know what else you can do? And we'll get their bids one way or another, right? You can bid online. Go to DonleyAuctions.com to the upcoming auctions button. You can bid online. There is a fee for the convenience of bidding from home or in your car or at the store. But we'll also take your absentee bids over the phone. And I love taking phone bids where I can actually talk to you live. But those phone bids are reserved for items that are like $500 in value and higher.
And just a reminder, too, there are still tickets available for the Eyeball at the San Filippo Estate, which is a charity auction, November 11th.
November 11th is a great cause for charity event. It's a very nice event at San Filippo Estate. Again, check our website. We'll have some information on there for you as well.
Yes.
Okay. So we're very busy at Donley Auctions getting ready for our annual Fall Classic. The December gun and military auction, folks, come out and see us. So we would love to meet you. Anything else, Randy? I think that's it for now.
That'll do it.
I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley.
And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.